one of the first questions, I had no idea what crypto was or Ethereum or anything or any like terms. And I'm like, the first question I asked was what I was like, what is an NFT and like can you make money with it? Like I was so ignorant to what NFTs were and even the how special the community even was at the time. And we're still early right now, but back then like we were super early. Like I don't know, it's just amazing how my crypto journey has been. I started off on Ethereum and then I moved to Tezos. I believe a year later, maybe half a year, I can't remember. But yeah, it's been an awesome ride. Like Web3's changed my life for sure.
Yeah, man, for sure. I think it's interesting whenever you first get into crypto and you kind of face that change of culture, that change of pace, and things along those lines. So, you said you started in ETH and moved into Tezos, but what got you into ETH in the first place?
So I've been an artist for 8 years, and I'm gonna share a little bit about like my whole art journey. Like before NFTs, I was mainly doing canvases, physical artwork, like printing them digitally. And when I found out about Web3, I was like with the potential of it. I think the first artist that I saw get into Web3 that was like familiar with me was Malad. I can't pronounce her name ever. I always fail to say it, but it's Maladiva or Malavita. But her art, like when she got into NFTs, I was just so blown away and like shocked, like what it could really be and what it can turn into. So yeah, I don't know if that answered the question, but
Yeah, no, no. Like a lot of people come into this space because they see some kind of role model or some person that's an inspiration take the deep dive, right? Like for a lot of the business people I talked to recently, they came into the space because of Gary Vee, right? Gary Vee has all these inspirational things that he talks about when it comes to crypto, or he talks about VeeFriends or blockchain or anything like that, and then that's how they get into the space. So, no, you definitely answered it, right? You said you had a role model, or more specifically, an artist you liked, took the dive into crypto, and then you started exploring as a result of that. So what was it like? So I'm interested, you mentioned you've been an artist for 8 years. So have you always been an artist, like since you were a kid, or has it become something you've kind of adopted and pursued later in life?
so a little bit of both. It mainly started with a digital photography class in my freshman year of high school. I the teacher, his name was Mr. Tefani. I'll still never forget his name. But the teacher would give us cameras and told us to go around the school to take random pictures, and like a lot of the students, a lot of my classmates were like, why does he want us to take random pictures of random stuff? Like there's nothing here. Like you can't get a good picture in the school or even outside of the school. And and I followed the assignment, and then he like flipped it on us. He was like, all right, now you guys are gonna try to make a collage out of the images. Like it was a whole week process, but he told us to make collages out of the images we took in the school. And mine just always stood out, and like he would always show the class my collages, and I didn't even know Photoshop. I tell everybody I learned Photoshop. I learn something new in Photoshop every day because it's that vast of a program. But yeah, he would always show like the classmates my art, and from there I got recruited my senior year into the entrepreneurship class. And what I did in that class, we made T-shirt designs, and for like the different sports teams, and like just anything. We even had like a little store. But what was I gonna say? Oh, I've always like since like a freshman year, my freshman year in high school, I've always been an artist. I never thought I'd be a full-time artist or like I'd even pursue it because I originally wanted to be an engineer, so it's just really opposite of the spectrums that I actually found of what I wanted to do and what I actually do years later.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting you bring up you originally intended to be an engineer because funny enough, I originally intended to be an engineer, and now here I am. I'm doing spaces. I'm a community person, and so on and so forth. So um, it's really interesting when you look on your life. Like looking backwards, everything kind of makes sense, but looking forwards, you could never possibly imagine how everything fits together. So, and from like in your story, you took a single photography class that really changed your perspective on art, and it got you interested in that, and it enticed you to pursue that. So I think that's super awesome that you've kind of taken that dive. So have you, since you got out of high school, have you been an artist like full time, or did you have some other jobs that you kind of bounced between before then?
So, I actually went to after high school. I didn't go to college immediately. Um, I went to college like a year and a half later after I graduated high school, and I attended Pittsburgh Technical Institute. I'm actually from Pennsylvania, Beast Coast represent. But yeah, I went into college, and like it even expanded more on what I know. Like the most important class I ever took, definitely color theory. Color theory changed my life on how I see and how I use color to communicate with my audience. And it was I didn't even finish college. I ended up getting kicked out. Long story, but yeah, it's crazy that I didn't even finish my graphic design major, and I'm a full time artist. And like a lot of my classmates didn't even they graduated and they couldn't even find a job like in graphic design because it's so oversaturated. So I just find it ironic that like I don't know the word that I kind of found my calling, and it's just really ironic that I didn't even finish. But after I ended college, I I just kind of started reached like doing my own thing. Like I worked with this artist named DRU. He's a big artist in San Diego, and he makes EDM. And I would always do like visuals that that were they kind of look like Skrillex's. That's the best way I could describe it. Is like Skrillex type of visuals. So it was like a lot of light, a lot of color, and really eye popping. So I started doing that, and I remember one day because like this probably went on for like 2 years. Um, it probably went yeah after college. I went about 2 years and just did my own thing, and I started sharing my work on Instagram, and I saw this advertisement for Canvas Freaks. And I was like, yo, I wonder if I could work with them, put my art on canvas. And I messaged them and they actually rejected me. And I was like, dang, that kind of sucks. But like half a year later, I just started grinding, and like one thing, this is off topic, but one not really, but one thing about me, I I have to create every day. Like it's part of like my therapy, and it's really therapeutic for me. I'm diagnosed with schizophrenia, so it's kind of a blessing and a curse, but like art is my go-to to calm me to really just keep me stable, honestly. Art has always been there since I was like a freshman. But back on track, they actually came to me, Canvas Freaks, and they wanted to work with me. And I was so stoked and like honored. Like it was ironic once again because like they had rejected me, but then they were coming back and asking if like I could work with them. So that's when everything changed, and I started working with them, started making sales, and I went viral in 2019. Um, for any artists listening, my best tip I could give you would be to pose with your art. Make your art physical and find a way to pose with it. Because like people love to see your persona and like they love to see you with your art. It just personifies your art. And I went viral. I got like 300,000 retweets and like a whole bunch of followers. Like I still have that. A lot of the my audience is still with me, and I'm blessed for them. But yeah, that's kind of how I got. I guess I'm not a big artist, but in a sense, I'm a big artist. So that's kind of how I got started, essentially.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's quite the story, right? Like you applied for this opportunity, got denied, and then they ended up reaching out to you later, right? And that's something a lot of people don't get. That's an opportunity that's super fortunate to have. And I think it's interesting that you had this time in high school, then you took some time off, then you went to an art school, didn't finish. And then you kind of pursued your career that way, right? You kind of went about it on your own volition. You worked for this artist in California, and then you kind of just pursued it that way. So you did mention something that I was going to transition into is you made a recommendation for new artists, which is to pose with your art, right? And a reason that is because collectors and people in general love to see the artist associated with the art piece itself, right? Whether that be physical or digital. So, do you have any other recommendations you would, or kind of suggestions you would make to any new artists trying to grow on social media?
Oh yeah, most definitely. Like I feel like I probably will write a book one day, but I feel like I could write a book. But honestly, the other than posing with your art, creating every day, like get that content out there. Like make even if one person sees your art, you've changed someone's perception or even enlightened them to how you see the world or how you understand the world or even how you see metaphors of the world. Like there's so much different like approaches to art, and it's so vast. Like I feel like everything is art in this life. Like there's movies, there's graphics, everywhere you look, architecture, nature's art, the biggest thing. Like everywhere you look is art. So it's never too late to get started in this art journey. Never. Like you just got to stay true to yourself and never forget your roots because um what was I going to say? Uh really I got I lost my train of thought. But some other tips I could give would be just create every day really and practice. Practice literally makes perfect. I remember I started it was like when did I start this one project? It was before I started working with Dru, and I would just put on some music and I created like these just they were so stupid at the time and they like they weren't even aesthetically pleasing, but I just created like these montages and I'd post them on Facebook and get like one like, and at first it was discouraging, but I remember the reason I created it for myself, and that's the number one thing you got to remember is to create for yourself. Like it doesn't matter. There's a quote by Andy Warhol. It says don't don't worry about who's watching your art or who's criticizing your art. Just keep creating art. like that's like one of the biggest things I could mention about my art journey is I've been so consistent. I probably have over I probably have like over 2,500 pieces of artwork. And I actually pinned a thread of my favorite art that I made within the last year. But yeah, just go out there. It's never too late to start art, and just be yourself. Like people like there's gonna be a vibe, like your vibration, what you bring to the table will fit in somewhere. Like it's not really about clicks or like for like click. I guess you could say yeah, clicks, but it's about finding a community and building upon that, and like just being real. Like you just got to be authentically you.
Yeah, for sure, and that's true for any discipline. Not even graphic artists or illustrators or anything like that, right? Like, I'm a content creator myself, right? I'm on social media. I'm active in spaces. I'm a speaker, and the best thing I can do is to be consistent, and that's one thing a lot of these gurus or these successful people will tell you is be consistent, put out content, and don't just do it for the numbers. Do it for you, right? Because that's what's important. That's what's going to keep you motivated is doing it for you, doing it for your satisfaction, and satisfying your own ambition. So I love what you're saying. It resonates, and I think a lot more people could learn from that, right? Because it is discouraging. Discouraging. You mentioned you made these kind of montages. I forgot if you said you posted on Facebook or Twitter, but you would post these things, and they'd maybe get one like, and you spend hours on that kind of content, and it sucks. It really does suck when that stuff happens. But whenever you keep in mind, I'm doing this for me, you grow, right? That helps you grow. That helps your content get better. And it helps you become a more mature and a more developed artist or creator or whatever that might be. So I love what you're saying. I think it's awesome. So another thing, so a question I have for you is you've been exploring the Photoshop and doing photography and collages and things along those lines and creating your own artwork. And you say that you want to create every day and it's your kind of therapy. For some people, it's really hard to get consistent and actually sit down and create every day. So, how do you, when you're not feeling motivated, how do you convince yourself that you need to create something?
So it's for me, I- it's like a magic trick, honestly, or like a superpower. Like if you don't want to ever get like burn out, well, motivation will always be a factor. But if like you're motivated and you want to create and you don't know like what you should do, like just change your style. Like learn something new. Like I'm an artist that I do photography, I do optical art, which is like the black and white optical illusion art. I do Photoshop collage. I do 3D. Well, I used to do 3D. I dabbled currently I'm dabbling in AI. Um but yeah, really the sky is the limit. Like there's so much information out there that you can learn. Like just try to learn something new. So like when you don't feel like creating, or even if you want to create, look up a tutorial or two and try to learn a new aspect of how you can express yourself. Like that's what's really got me this far is just trying to learn something new and just pushing yourself to the limits. Like don't stress yourself out, but also don't like never remain stagnant. Like that's the key to all this is just keep changing and evolving and you'll just go further and further.
Yeah, like when you're feeling uninspired or unmotivated, instead of dwelling in that, you should get uncomfortable, right? Put yourself in a situation where you have to learn something new, you have to learn a new skill, and as a result, you have to find a new way to convey your identity and kind of pour out your artistic expression. So I think that's really awesome advice, right? Because in a lot of people, they'll learn maybe they'll take that first step and learn the first couple of things about Photoshop or whatever, and then they get complacent, right? They're like, okay, I have enough skills here, like I can make some stuff happen, but it's limited, right? So whenever you're feeling like, oh, you don't want to create, then spend that time learning. And I think that's awesome. So you say you've been bouncing around between a bunch of different artistic mediums. You said you dabbled in 3D, you mess around in AI, you've done other things like physical. So what has it been like to navigate all of those different kind of mediums? And do you think there's one of those mediums that stand out the most for you?
Um, my favorite go-to is definitely Photoshop. I do everything like I like create styles, like my own styles, and I'll just I'll Photoshop is like my main go-to. I used to I still do, but I draw a little bit in Procreate, and I'm not even a good like I'm not technically good at drawing. Like the technicality is definitely not there, but I'm still learning, you know. Um, what was I gonna say? When you start a new style, like don't be afraid to reach out to artists in that style and get information, get some tips and like some pointers because like you never know that of how like welcoming and like loving people are until you actually reach out. Like never be afraid to reach out and get some more info. Another thing, like I started on OpenSea and then I got accepted on Maker's Place. Like I never would have imagined that I would have made the volume I've made or sold to my collectors. Like, and a lot of the work that I've created was old pieces. Like some of them were from a year, 2 years ago, prior to the date I minted them. And actually, like 2021 was, I think it was a dream for not everybody, but like it was a bad year and it was a good year for a lot of artists. And I actually traded like 118,000 volume on Maker's Place, and that really humbled me because like growing up, I was always like, how can I? What is my calling? Like, what am I here to do? And I found that art is like the answer for like me and for plenty others around the world. And like going back to the schizophrenia thing, I think art is like essential for good mental health. Like it's so therapeutic, and it's really art really changed my life, not even because of the money, but because of the amount of like kind-hearted individuals I've met during this journey. Like there's so many, I can't even count the number of like people I've met, and some of most of them I don't remember their names, but when we connect, it's like I've known them for years. Like that's the kind of relationships you want to form in this space, is just friends that seem like friends for thousands of years. Like like it was like you guys were friends in the life before this one, if you know what I mean. But yeah.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned something awesome, which is don't be afraid to reach out to people, right? I mean, a lot of people have their DMs are open, or if they're not on Twitter, you can reach out to them on Discord. And a lot of the time, they're super receptive. No one's going to be super mean to you or shut you down or anything. More often than not, they're going to be like, "Hey, man, I'm glad that you're here. Here's some tips. I'm a little bit more experienced than you, but here's some tips on maybe how you can improve, right? Or how you can work faster, or how you can be more involved in the community, right? Like a lot of people, especially I see this in the art scene a lot. Like a lot of people are super supportive of new people coming into the space and getting growing their audience and getting involved. So, would you say that the art community is super receptive and supportive of new artists?
Oh yeah, 100%. Like even in Ethereum. and like I feel like there's differences in different blockchains, but Ethereum's solid. Like the relationships you form in Ethereum are definitely solid. But even more than like Ethereum, I entered Tezos, and like the type of vibrations I get from Tezos is like it's similar to Ethereum, but it's different at the same time. Like all these blockchains have their different auras, and it's so beautiful how Web3 is like knitting together and bridging the gap between what's the word? It's like bridging the gap between like right now, even like we're all like me and you are gathered in this space with a whole bunch of other, well, not a whole bunch, but a couple other people, and like it's crazy how technology is, how I don't even know what I'm trying to say, but it's awesome how like we're talking and we're thousands of miles away. Like it's just so crazy to me, and it's only beginning. Like there's going to be so much different things in Web3. Like it's really mind boggling, honestly.
Yeah, like the one thing about Web3 culture in particular is how open and accepting it is, right? Like we're able to have conversations via Twitter Spaces and talk that way. Like we've never spoken. I mean, but you've spoken with my co-founder Jericho, and that's how we got this scheduled. But like through stuff like that is we're able to make connections to one another, and it's especially more important when it comes to things like art, right? When it comes to the art scene, it makes collectors more accessible. It becomes artist to artist. It makes artist to artist connection more accessible. Makes it more open. Makes it easier, right? And that's what we need in this kind of world where now I can get art from Indonesian artists like really easily. Like one of my favorite artists, Diojanu, is an Indonesian, and I never would have met him ever if it were not for things like Web3 and getting into this kind of thing. So I love what you're saying, right? Not and I'm not an artist myself, but I am a collector. I do love purchasing art and meeting these artists and hearing about their vision and hearing about their dreams and their passion for their art is always so inspiring to me as a content creator on my own. So I love the support you guys give off in the vibe you're just communicating across the board. So I'll go ahead and we are coming close to time, so I'll go ahead and ask you one last question, and then we'll go ahead and wrap things up. But Tankus, once again, thank you guys for being here. You, Tankus, and everyone in the audience, thank you for taking time out of your day to learn more about artists and creators in the space. Tankus, my last question for you would be: if you had to start over in Web3, would you do anything differently?
Oh yeah, big time. Like the one of my downfalls, like we were talking about like all my good traits and like just art in general. But one of the things about me is I'm so disorganized. Like I need to like if you're gonna mint something, like have a plan, have a strategy, because me, I I just mint, and I just hope for the best. Like I mean, sometimes I'll have like different collections and different like series going, but definitely remain organized and have a roadmap. Like a lot of people say, "Oh no, don't have a roadmap." But yeah, that like have a plan, go through with the plan, and execute the plan. Like it will definitely it will definitely help you get more sales, and it would definitely just be easier to navigate your work that way.
Yeah, for sure. Like it's important to have a good understanding of what your future looks like, right? So whenever you are making a collection or doing a new mint or anything along those lines, it's very important to have that planned ahead of time and maybe think a couple of steps ahead because not only is that good for you as an artist or a creator, it's also good for your community, your collectors, because they'll have a better understanding of what your vision is and what it means to move forward with Tankus as an artist. So but yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying, and I I've actually been spending. I love how you mentioned that because I've been spending a lot more time recently getting organized, and once you're organized, you're able to get ahead, and once you're able to get ahead, the amount of stress that's taken off your shoulders is unbelievable. So I totally relate with what you're saying here. So thank you guys. This is Making Time. This is a show for creators by creators. This is a daily space. Today we interviewed Tankus, a phenomenal artist on ETH and Tezos. But tomorrow we will also be interviewing a photographer on ETH and Sol named Nev in Color. He's a super awesome guy. He's super kind, and we'll be interviewing him for about 30 minutes tomorrow. But Tankus, before I go ahead and end the space, is there any kind of closing thoughts you want to have?
I just want to say it's crazy that your show's name is Making Time because like it's like for me and a lot of other people, like it's all about divine timing. Like the universe and like how like if something's meant to be, it'll happen. Like I don't know what I'm trying to say, but it was awesome being here. Don't forget to manifest the things you want and believe in those. Yeah, that was kind of a weird ending, but yeah.
Nah, dude. Any wisdom is fantastic. So I appreciate what you're saying. Um, but thank you guys. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up the space and rug everyone here. But thank you guys for being here. We will have another show tomorrow. I will be sending out the promo shortly for that. So if you could like, comment, and retweet on that space. I wasn't able to get it before the show, unfortunately, but if you guys could comment on that tweet, that'd be fantastic and help us support artists and other creators in the space. So once again, thank you guys for being here on Making Time, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. Bye bye.